Welcome to Center of Light on the Tuesday night. Strapping all my brother and sister astronauts as we launch for inner space. Center of Light Radio. Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Radio for the soul and the transformation station. Tonight we're going to be speaking with a dear friend of mine from across the pond over there in England. We're going to be speaking about the planes of Christ. I know lots of evangelists, Benny Hinn, Jesse Duplantis, and the like. They have jets and planes, but I didn't know Christ had planes. Right? So we're going to be talking about the many different planes of Christ. Yeshua ben Joseph, the greatest world teacher ever. Tonight my guest is Kelly Marie Kerr. You're gonna dig her. Stick around. She's really clear about what she speaks. Let's get right down to some Center of Light radio business. Hello, everyone in the room, all you beautiful, sexy human creatures. I want to get down to some advertisements, as they might say, across the way, and get down to Center of Light radio business. September 21st and 22nd, Spiritual Fair, Memphis, Tennessee. The 4-Point Spiritual Holistic Wellness Practices Expo, all those cool words you can attach. Memphis, Tennessee, that's going to be crystals, stones, nutrition, holistic medicine services, environmentally conscious businesses, spiritual readers, authors, paranormal investigators, researchers, Akashic records, auric photography. Oh my God, I can't wait. Free and paid workshops, full food trucks, and lots of entertainment. Keynote speakers, Dr. Rita Louise. She's an author, naturopathic physician. She's also a medical intuitive. She is no joke. Dr. Jason Rand, author, radio host. Larry Flaxman, Discovery Channel, Ancient Aliens, author, researcher, investigator. Lynette Marie, author, medicine woman, pure health warrior. I'm going to be a keynote speaker. I'm going to be speaking about radical transformation, crossing the bridge to the soul. $15 per day, $20 for both days. This is put on and sponsored by Circle of Chi. That's Circle of QI, Circle of Chi. You can find it on Facebook or you can find it on the internet. There are promos happening. It's hard for me to keep up as well, but you can go to Circle of Chi, Circle of QI, and find out anything you need, or you can contact me directly. Are you ready to transform into the best you, basically? It's about you taking something away. We're not talking about trinkets and auric photographies. That's cool stuff. That's important stuff. It's all part of the fun. Your life should be joyful. But it's about you taking something away. And Victoria Smith, I have no doubt I did some intuitive work surrounding this event. It's going to be successful. She's going to be setting a new bar for how spiritual expos go, at least in Memphis, Tennessee. That's September 21st and 22nd. I think it's from like 12 noon to 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe 11. Ask me and I'll send you the information. You can find out more at another website as well at 4pointsexpo.com. Also, later tonight, after this interview, I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Brian D. Harden, gold record producer, movie maker, spiritual teacher. He's amazing. He wants me to go to California and do an album with him. I would love to. Speaking of albums, the music you're going to be hearing tonight is sponsored by Lavender Soul, my spiritual group comprised of members of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. We have been working on a new album. The piano player now just stepped in and started whittling away at this musical David, if you will, so we can fashion this really cool album. And I think it's the working title we have for the album is called Atmosphere. Ambiance, Atmosphere. Welcome to Center of Light Radio. Let's see what Lavender Soul means. Time for a change. It's time for a change. Dear Lord, as we look out and about and all around, up and down, there's lots going on. It can be a little weird and strange, sometimes frightening, to be stable in so much chaotic movement. But it's time for a change. And when we change ourselves and we plant ourselves, it gives us more of a leg up. Time for a change. Stick around.
fall. I wonder why. Worried there'll come a time when my world is dry, oh so dry. In the summertime I won't have no water. Oh, the wait, it's a little bit harder to as I contemplate a billion stars, leaving my hands to fate. That's all I've got, all I've got. In the summertime I won't have no water. It's a little bit harder to my hands to fade, all up to fade. I wonder why. Ooh, I wonder why. Time for a change. Time for a change. Time for a
Welcome back to Center of Light. I am ready to get down to some Center of Light radio business with this little English firecracker. She's gonna light you on fire. I'm so excited. I'm waiting to see the numbers she's going to do on me. I'm so giddy, like a puppy dog that's about to get bought or a kid in a candy store. Let me tell you about my guest. By the way, check this out. Today, August 13th, 1988, August 13th, I got in a Ryder truck and headed to Memphis, Tennessee to begin my life. Today is my 31st anniversary, right? So 3 and 1 is 4. Obviously. 4 is a number signifying power. I'll do the other math later. Let me call my guest so we can get her on the line and get this party started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Kelly once we get her here. Hello, Angel.
Hello.
It's good to see you. I'm about to read your bio. Everyone, tonight, my guest is Kelly Marie Kerr, and we are speaking about the planes of Christ. Kelly, I attempted to make a funny a little bit earlier. I said that some of these televangelists have jets and planes, and I didn't know Jesus had planes. So tonight we're speaking about the planes of Christ. Let me tell you about my guest, Kelly Marie Kerr. She is a writer and a YouTube creator. She is known for her sacred secretion explainer videos and metaphysical, esoteric Bible interpretations, which can all be found via her website, www.seekvision.co.uk. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to drop that in the room here shortly. In her latest book, the cover is just exquisite. In her latest book, The God Design, Secrets of the Mind, Body, and Soul, Kelly Marie Kerr examines, compares, and parallels spiritual teachings with scientific theories and facts in order to explain what has become known as the sacred secretion. Biblical symbols and metaphors are decoded with the aid of the latest scientific discoveries and theories. What will be revealed is the marvelous design of the human body, made in the image and the likeness of God, Genesis 1:27. By realizing and observing certain sacred truths, the magnificent potential of the God design, can be unlocked and activated. And I am going to drop that link in this room. Again, make sure to check it out. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, MM.
Thank you for having me.
It's a little late in your neck of the woods, isn't it?
It is. It's just gone 1 a.m.
And you stayed up. You didn't try to go to sleep this time.
I did think about it, but I was like, actually, no, I'm just gonna stay up. So.
Well, I'm glad you're joining me again. I love your work. I'm curious to know more about your book as well as this topic of Planes of Christ. I have an idea of what is you're referring to, but not fully. And I'm looking forward to you taking all of us on a joyous ride towards the Christ of consciousness planes.
I didn't realize that 1988 was your year, your anniversary year, your year of establishing the Center of Light. That's so interesting because 88 is very poignant to Christ as well. So, here we are. No coincidences.
How are things going with you, Miss YouTuber, in that regard?
Really good. I'm just carrying on with the Revelation series at the moment. So there's 21 chapters altogether in Revelation, and I've recently just published a recap video for the first 5 chapters because I thought it would be useful for people to be able to, watch the metaphysical breakdown of the first 5 chapters, like sort of more simplified and a bit more summarized, because the original videos are quite long and obviously they go into a lot of depth. So those are available for people still to watch on YouTube if you're really interested. But if you're just trying to get a grasp of what the deeper symbolic meanings are without going into too much detail, then that summary is now there as well. And I'm going to be publishing chapter 6 soon, and then carrying on all the way to the end. I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to take, but I feel very compelled and inspired to complete this sort of divine assignment, as it were.
When we do go to commercial break, please feel free to drop any and everything that is you, your YouTube link, all that, a special video you want them to start with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how is, I'm gonna ask a very ridiculous question, but I'm asking anyway. How is the response on YouTube? I mean, I know you may have a following, but before I met you, honestly, as many different spiritual fields that I dabble in and have played in, I get them all. But I've never heard of this approach to walking a path. I love it. Are people saying, "Oh my God, you've been what I've been waiting for because this is something that's been calling to me"? Are they understanding effortlessly? Are they vibing to it? Or they're still somewhat puzzled? Does it take them a while to fall into cadence?
I think, I feel really blessed to see people's responses because some people are, so grateful and so excited. And, I sort of share that kind of vibration and resonance because when this, all became apparent to me and the links became so clear, I was just so excited, and that excitement and passion for the word is a lot of what has driven me, to continue with these videos. So it's really nice when people message and comment and say, "Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. Thank you." But also, I do get a lot of questions, a lot of, distrust and skepticism. But then it's nice because there's sort of like also a borderline response where, you can glean the fact that people really want to believe it and can feel the truth in it, but their sort of more analytic mind is still trying to, hold them back to that conditioning that they're used to of, just taking those literal meanings on board. So it's actually really interesting. And obviously, I do get the naysayers as well. I get a lot of people, saying that it's false doctrine or it's this or that or whatever. But, I think it's really cool how God finds different people to, share things in different ways and from different perspectives so that, eventually, like, there will be this sort of holistic sharing and awakening throughout the world as there has been. For me, like, I find the scientific approach really interesting because people that I speak to on an everyday sort of basis are much more willing to be open to those connections than they are to be, open to speaking more literally about, spiritual realms and those sort of things that can sound quite fanciful to, like somebody who's just not used to hearing that kind of talk.
It requires a part of them to die.
Yeah.
Probably the most important part of their core. It is their core. If there was an upbringing, in order to demolish or put on the shelf something that you truly believe you are identify with, it truly becomes a death, and nobody wants to die.
No,
Right?
definitely not.
So let's talk about the planes of Christ. Let me ask you this. I don't know if there's a certain design, God design about this, but are there a specific number of the planes of Christ, or you just wanted to talk about some of the planes of Christ? Is there a particular number?
I don't think there's a particular number. I think every time you think you've maybe found the finite number, you may find another few numbers. Um, I think it's probably infinite, to be honest. It just strikes me that there's four, I would say, that people can easily envision or understand. And those, are the sort of cosmic level. So the cosmic Christ, the gospel in the stars and everything that that sort of embodies. The gospel in the stars is such an interesting topic. I'm certainly no expert on it. I highly recommend Santos Bonacci and forgotten his name. If you just put in Gospel in the Stars into YouTube, there's a pastor on it who's done a series of videos that go into like a lot of depth, and that really shows how the prophecies in the Bible are reflected in the celestial configurations of the stars, which is just, I mean, it's mind-blowing. And it's not
as above, so below. And I mean, if it's happening here on the earthly plane, and the earthly plane is derived from the spiritual plane, the higher plane, the greater plane, the cosmic plane, onto the Christ conscious plane, everything moves in sync. I mean, it all just moves in this glorious divine dance.
Yeah, definitely. And
it sounds interesting. I would love to know about the gospel in the stars. That sounds just lovely.
It's just so cool. Like, you've got Virgo, which is, originally that was depicted as a picture of a virgin who, was holding two different symbols of fertility. And, you've got Leo, the lion, like Christ was known as the Lion of Judah. So there's just lots of similarities. But I mean, I think for anyone who's seriously interested, you have to, really take in the precision of, certain dates and certain configurations to realize, just how deeply connected it is and how it just can't be explained away to a coincidence, as, some people would like to do, because it sort of fits in with that comfort zone of what they're used to.
Yeah, truth is not a tincture, band-aid, nor salve. It is a head knocker. It's a chop in the throat. It's a punch in the solar plexus. It's a kick in the groin. It's meant to, and it's designed that way to keep us out of systematic belief and forever expansion mode. So let's talk about the first plane of Christ, in whatever order, bottom to low, top to bottom, as above, so below.
So should we go? Let's go from the outside in. So
That's the outside in. Yeah, love it.
So if we say that the very first one, there's no difference between God and Christ, like God is, often described as, a triune spirit, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. So, if Christ was the Son of God, then, you've kind of got this at the very beginning of this whole thing, this God entity, this through all and in all and creating all source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, that, Christ is a part of. So that's kind of the outermost plane, if you like. And that is creating that God, that Christ, that spirit, that energy, that creative force is then creating the stars, which is, arguably the next plane, although there may be planes in between those. And then, of course, the most common plane, which, we all talk about and hear about and know of and relate to in some way or another, is the physical plane, the manifestation of this Christ man, this Jesus, that we hear about at Christmas, who, was born under the Star of Bethlehem and was visited by 3 wise men. And then the next level after that is the Christ seed, the substance or seed within our physical bodies that resembles and acts in the same way as that physical Christ, as that Christ energy. It has both the potential for absolute greatness, but equally it has the potential to be totally dissipated and, hung on a cross. So it's, I think one of the reasons why I like to talk about this subject is because people watch the sacred secretion video and assume that I'm saying, oh, there's no Christ then, so it's all just about a secretion within the body. But that is not nowhere near the truth. I totally I know, like I've seen and experienced with my own eyes the Spirit of Christ and feel very much in tune to that message of the historical Christ. And it's just really beautiful to know, even if you don't view it as being separate planes, but you're open to accept the fact that that idea, that spirit, that greatness, that purifying force, that compassion is, it's not limited to one person. Like, we shouldn't be arguing about, did he live here, did he live there, what day was his actual birthday, etc. What we should be really focusing on is the kind of compassion and the kind of vibration that was brought by this spirit being amongst us, and how it is still here now and always has been.
You can't separate from the Christed energy. So that means it's attached. It is everything. It's the illumined way. So I would say that the Christ consciousness, that particular layer, is what. This is me, this is you, Kelly, this is your mom, this is your brother, this is your friend, this is my friend. This is all individual fingers on the hand. We think we're separate because we're looking at the empty space in between. But if we look at the knuckles, this is where we all join in this divine state of unity. If we look at the whole hand, this would be representative of God itself. So, and so when Jesus became illumined, see, often when people talk about biblical scripture, they go at it from a particular place, and they're not, and I can tell in their ideas of what they're sharing, they don't understand the difference when Jesus was speaking and when the Christ was speaking. Because Jesus, over the course of his life, became the Christ. He achieved a state of consciousness. All of Jesus' early life, he wandered, thinking he was a messenger of God, until he went to the Himalayas and so forth, or wherever places he went, until he realized by the masters in these monasteries that he was the Son of God itself. So he aspired to this place that always exists. And in fact, we can't even exist without this place. So there really is no separated layers, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
How do we tap into it?
I just feel like it helps in a way to perceive how it manifests throughout our experience, as a way of kind of bringing people together, rather than, creating this sort of like idea of separation, like you said, because there is no separation. But a lot of people, I think, who come to stumble across my YouTube videos think, oh, this is entirely metaphysical. This is kind of insulting to, the Bible, and that's not the place that I'm coming from at all. So, but yeah, having said that, how can you tap into it? Well, it's love. It's understanding love, and
it's about by living the Christ principle. The Christ principle. In fact, like to echo what you said, a lot of people from a particular fundamental background, they want to say, well, this is more the Bible than what you're even thinking it is. In fact, it is so biblical that it's saying, I am in my Father's in me, and I am in you. So if Christ is in the Father, and the Father's in Christ, and this majesty, this royalty lives in me, then it puts a lot of responsibility on me or whoever the person would be to say, you've been
Yeah.
handed something you have been disagreeing with, when it is the truth. It's the Christ principle of the entire literature.
Yeah, because, when we say, like, Our Father who art in heaven, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, we are welcoming that spirit into our lives. We are saying, I'm here, I'm ready to embrace the holiness, the oneness, the acceptance, the vision, the supernatural sight. And again, that line, on earth as it is in heaven, again reflects how, there is this microcosm, macrocosm, as within, so without, etc., clearly going on around us. And it's just when we sort of shift that into that mode of perspective, I think, is when we become so enriched by the limitless potential of what is around us.
On the Sermon of the Mount, Christ Jesus said, thy kingdom come. He also said in another place, the kingdom of God is within. So that means this kingdom that is coming is within you. And because we are the anchor, we are the prophetic vision of heaven on earth. I mean, it's, heaven on earth is not that everybody gets to share their internet and have free cell phone service and free food and free housing. That is a reflection of it. But we have to become the harbingers of that very change. So the Christ principle is when we become the disciples of true, not the name of false, the true or the truest Christian version of ourselves. True Christianity.
True Christianity. Yeah, when you think about, who Jesus really was, and, you start realizing that he, was raising, like, his vibration and his frequency in order to become Christed. And, that's how he, really managed to become this miracle performer, become this healer. I don't doubt that if we were able to in-tune ourselves that much to the Christ light, that we would all be able to experience that exact same healing, both in ourselves and in others. And, I've heard it and seen it done. And I know that there are people and groups and, different ways of interpreting this. But if you look at Dr. Joe Dispenza as an example, like the movement that he's created in helping people, it's absolutely like a miracle to behold. It's just so fantastic to know that more and more people are becoming aware of their potential in this area, because it really is like the be all and end all. There's nothing greater.
Absolutely right. Just a heads up, if my computer blinks out, we have a thunderstorm. It's firing off pretty good. I love the Christ when he spoke.
That's a really cool storm.
Wow, you digging it?
Yeah.
You feel that power?
Yeah.
I love when he spoke to the woman. She said, thank you so much for healing my loved one, basically. He said, woman, I did no such thing. Your faith in me is what did. He had nothing to do with it. He even said it himself.
Exactly.
So we have this natural ability. So let's liken this.
I missed that. Thunder. I drowned you out.
Wow. So if we liken that to someone who has a child and a car happens to fall on the child, and you see this little bitty woman walk up to this car and lift this car up to save this child, Where does that come from? You think that just comes from adrenaline in your head? Well, of course, the adrenaline might be part sent by the pharmaceutical brain for you to have this kind of physical power. But there
Yeah.
has to be a greater will power involved for such a thing to ever happen. What is that will? We say, someone says, will you do me this favor? And you say, I will. Who is this I that's willing for it?
Exactly. And in all of those scenarios, like it's not the physical power that's coming first. It's
Correct.
always the intention, the faith. You know, it's in the book of Thomas, it says when you balance these forces within you, you will become as powerful and more powerful. And, you know, those forces that I think are being described there are the forces that we have within us, that when they balance, that's when the sacred secretion rises, and that's when the Ida and Pingala secrete into the Sushumna, and we have that Amrita, or that sacred secretion, that balancing of the yin and yang, the whole like left ventricle, third ventricle secretions from the pineal and pituitary, the Mary and Joseph inside the brain, like really harmonize. And, you know, that's when we reach this like incredible level of, you know, just everything increases, you know, your memory, the ability to withhold to keep information, but also the ability to perceive people, to use your intuition for the best, your sort of awakeness and alertness improves, things around you sort of feel more vibrant, more vivid, your dreams become clearer. It almost feels like, you know, you've got this sort of, you've always known that you've had this kind of inner power, this inner child, like who you know, who wants to be loved and wants to be nurtured, but all of a sudden they've become this little superhero that's helping you in every aspect of life. It's just one way to describe it.
Yes. We're about to go to our first break. We're halfway. Would you like to talk a little more about the sacred secretions, a little in depth? So there's a lot of people who are new here and will be new to this presentation, this interview here in the near future. And we can definitely talk about your fantastic, beautiful cover book, The God Designed Boy. There's a thunderstorm kicking up here tonight. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchett, Center of Light Radio, Yanava. Yah, heart, God, will, power. Na, mind, discernment, reason, intelligence. The mind when it's balanced. Va, the backbone, taking action. Yanava, when you congruent with your sacred self, that very Christ principle that my guest tonight, Kelly Marie Kerr, and I are diving in deep into that swimming pool. We're going to be right back. Center of Light Radio, some Lavender Soul. Let's all just take a breath. See you shortly.
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love, give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive.
what I want to be and see, what I want to see and want, knowing God is by my side. There is nothing I need to know. All the wisdom's in my soul. All along I knew the way. Time has told me every day to breathe, breathe and expand myself, to know there is no one else but me and God who's in my heart. So I'll breathe, breathe and expand myself and know there is no one else but me and God.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio, and welcome to my living altar. Tonight, my guest, Miss Kelly Marie Kerr, and I are speaking about everything Christ, everything Jesus, Christ, the plains of Christ, Christ consciousness, the beautiful talk and walk of Master Yeshua. Welcome back to Center of Light, Kelly Marie Kerr. Are you there, dear? I don't know if she knows she's on. Can you hear me, dear? Kelly? Let me send her a message. You are on the air.
Oh, I accidentally pressed mute. Sorry,
I love
guys.
it. Jesus was funny.
I'm sure he was.
So let's talk a little bit about sacred secretion for those who have no idea what that is and the benefits it can have when one comes into that kind of understanding.
Okay. There's all kinds of strange things happening on my screen right now, so I'm just going to concentrate on what I can hear rather than what I can see. Um, so every month when the moon enters your sun sign, and this is referenced in Revelations 11:11. Hold on, I've got some extra sound coming through from somewhere. Sorry. Just stop.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, sorry.
All good there.
Yeah, so when in Revelations 11:11, it says, and after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood up upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw. So the 3.5 days is obviously referring again to the time that was spent in the tomb. And the tomb is symbolic of what happens when this sacred secretion, this reflection of Christ within us, actually moves into the medulla where it's crucified before, after, when the moon leaves our sun sign, it's actually amplified into the thalamus, which is what causes the cilia on the pineal gland to get aroused. And that's what harmonizes the pineal and pituitary glands and causes these enhanced biochemicals, which is what gives us this feeling of enlightenment, this sort of newfound vision, as it were. And that is, in a nutshell, the raising of the sacred secretion.
Now that you are aware of this teaching, this wisdom, as you apply it to your life as a way, a truth for you, are you becoming hyper aware of the mechanism of it inside of you? Like certain things are, the energies of certain things are being released and valved, open and closed, open and closed. Are you aware of that kind of system happening?
I certainly do feel like sort of hot, amazing, um, almost rushes of energy through my spine. I do wake up sometimes literally feeling like something has just, given me the biggest kind of like blast of energy that I've ever known. And it feels really warm and really loving, like it's not, anything to be worried about.
Does it feel like you're being cloaked?
Cloaked.
Draped with some sort of garment?
It does, yeah. Yeah, I like that reference.
Right. You can use it.
Yeah.
Just send me a royalty check once in a while.
Clothed in white raiment.
Well, Kelly, I know that you're across the pond over there,
Yeah.
and it's late for you. So, would you like to leave us with a closing comment? Anything? This is your platform, and also leave with whatever you want to announce as far as how they can contact you.
But I have popped my one of my YouTube links into the comments, so please feel free to watch that and post any comments or send me questions via my website seekvision.co.uk. I'm more than happy to answer them. I do try and get back to pretty much every email that I get. the Revelation series is going to continue on YouTube. My book, The God Design Secrets of the Mind, Body, and Soul is...
Raise it up a little bit. Raise it up just a little. Damn, yeah, I want to see that. Look how gorgeous that is. It's so simple, so subtle, powerful. Good job.
Yes, so this is on Amazon, and it's on, well, if you just Google it, it's quite easy to find. So, yeah, it goes through in depth, like all the different steps of the sacred secretion. You know, it explains how you've got the 33 years of Christ that, you know, are reflected in the 33 vertebrae. You've got the 33rd axis, which is the universal axis, which is also the, you know, the 33rd step to enlightenment. I don't want to put anyone off with that one because I feel like there's a lot of fear-based stuff being sort of pushed in through that channel, but you know, really it's when you see like the reflections and the parallels, it becomes very clear that there's nothing to be afraid of, other than fear itself, as they say. Yeah, there's chapters in here about, you know, how Christ is a seed and the various biblical references that talk about the corruptible seeds and the incorruptible seeds. And, you know, that again is highlighting this path of secretion through our bodies, and how if, you know, we honor it and raise it, then it becomes the incorruptible seed of Christ. It becomes this seed that feeds us, nourishes us, heals us, enlightens us, empowers us, gives us clarity, and real vision to, you know, just live the best life that you possibly can have, like free from all of the dogmas and false teachings and fear-based doctrines that are being pushed onto, you know, the masses in a very big way through media and church and whatever else. So not all church, not all media, to be careful.
Thank you. I really enjoyed my time with you, as I always do, Kelly. You're welcome on Center of Light anytime you like.
Thanks, Keith.
Good to see you, dear.
Yeah.
Stay in touch. Let me know what you're up to. Everyone,
Bye.
Kelly Marie Kerr, Center of Light Radio, we've been talking about the planes of Christ. She lives in the UK, so we had to shorten our time a little bit. She has a little boy, and she has a job, and she has life, and she does what she's got to do. And just a little bit, at the top of the new hour, 9 o'clock Central Time, depending on where you are in the world, Brian D. Harden, gold record producer, movie maker, spiritual teacher, handsome, dapper young man he is. We're going to be talking about when? Now. You're going to dig Brian. He's just a really cool cat. Two guys hanging out in a bar having a beer, kind of back and forthness. We will be going. I appreciate you. It's been a while since I did a Center of Light Radio interview, and I got my books for the next few months booked to the hilt. I'm excited. I love doing this thing. I look forward to seeing you in just a little while. If you want to catch Brian and I, we're going to be having lots of redonkulous fun. Please feel free to join us. Peace, love, and you know what to do. Yanava.